All right, we are recording live now. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, from wherever you're joining us. Welcome to another edition, another session of the Nigeria M365 Community Mentorship Program. My name is Aishat Oshileye, and I am glad to be your host today. It is my pleasure. Once again, I welcome you to the Nigeria M365 Community. This is the 4-month intensive mentorship program, the Microsoft 365 Mentorship Program, where we help beginners to kickstart their digital skills journey and professionals alike to brush up their technical skills as well. Yeah, this is totally free and it will be running for 4 months. We welcome participants from across the globe. This program was put together by the members, the leaders of the Nigeria M365 community, and we will be covering these technologies in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. First, we have the Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot Studio. We have the Microsoft Entra ID, the Exchange Online, Microsoft SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, which we'll be continuing with today. We have Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Defender XDR, Microsoft Purview for compliance. Yes, let's proceed. We welcome you, our mentees, into today's session. And we commend you for always showing up. For those who have always been showing up, this is an opportunity for us to learn new skills and also upgrade our skills. Like I mentioned before, my name is Aishat Oshileye, and I am just someone who is passionate about technology, and I help individuals and organizations to unlock productivity through Microsoft 365, cloud solutions, modern workplace technologies. I have experience in technical support, in technical training, and in cloud engineering. I am just driven by growth and community impact because I have been a beneficiary of community programs as well. So that is why I am committed to empowering more people to break into tech with confidence. Thank you very much. Before we move on, I will be saying thank you to the organizers of the mentorship program, starting with the leadership of the Nigeria M365 community and being led by Madam Olajumoke Toriola, who is the founder of the community. And then I'll also be appreciating some of our leaders as well, in the presence of Emmanuel Itoje, in the presence of Joseph Afeso, in the presence of Rafia Abdusalam. We have a whole lot of them. And as we continue in the mentorship program, you will be coming across them. A whole lot of them are also part of our mentors. Apart from being organizers, they're also mentoring in the program. And thank God that with them, so far, we have been recording success with the mentorship program. So thanks to them. So I want to appreciate them. Please, everyone, give them a clapping emoji to appreciate everyone who has been contributing in one way or another. And I did not forget to mention Madam Titi Lokwe below as well. We have all met her. And one of such people as well is who will be taking us in Microsoft Teams tonight. So we want to thank all our mentors, all our organizers, the Microsoft 365 community leadership as well, who have all come together to share their experience, their knowledge with every one of us. So please appreciate them by giving them a clapping emoji or any of your favorite emojis. Yes, this will take me into introducing our speaker for tonight in the person of Ifeoluwa Omotoso, who is an IT professional, an entrepreneur, a graphics designer, a web developer, is a lot of things bundled into one. He's a customer service agent, he's a remote support specialist, and he actually is bringing a lot of diverse skills, a lot of skill sets, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and he'll be sharing them with some of them with us tonight. Those skill sets spans across Microsoft 365, technical support, cloud administration, and so on and so forth. So his career has been driven by commitment to excellence and dedication to responsibility. He loves to integrate values from academic, moral, psychological, and managerial experiences, which are all brought together and has shaped him into who he is today. His focus is mostly on leveraging his accumulated skills, like some of the ones I've just mentioned, bringing them all together and using them as an asset that is able to contribute to the community, and by also creating sustainable growth. He has engaged in collaborating with a lot of teams and resources, and he also aims to enhance development, quality control, scientific research, strategic planning, and with the ultimate goal of driving organizational success and achieving managerial objectives. So everyone join me by giving a clapping emoji, a clapping ovation to welcoming Ifeoluwa Omotoso. Is not a stranger in the mentorship programs. In the past, he has actually contributed his knowledge, his time, his energy, and experience into the mentorship program by mentoring our students, particularly in Microsoft Teams technologies in the past. And he's here today again, as before, to share with us what he has. So let us thank you very much, Ifeoluwa Omotoso, for coming. We are very grateful to have you here, and we consider you one of the assets of the Nigeria M365 community. Thank you very much. Before I bring him in, I would like us to run through some of the housekeeping tips or rules, right? Like as I've always shared with us, this session is actually recorded and will be made available via our YouTube channel. We all know that. And at the end of the session, or probably by tomorrow, the link to this recording will be made available for everyone to watch, right? And let's make sure that our Microsoft phones are muted, although they're all automatically muted right now, right? But whenever you have a question, you can just raise your hands or pen down your questions into the chat session, or you keep your questions so that you don't forget them. You can pen them down somewhere onto the Q&A session. Yes, we have social media channels. For example, YouTube channel where we keep our recordings. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can be up to date on all our events or whenever we upload new content, as well as the LinkedIn page. Please follow us on LinkedIn. Join the Discord server, because it seems like the WhatsApp communities are not accommodating us anymore. So we want everyone to move onto the Discord chat server. But the fact that everyone has not moved there, that's why we are still using the WhatsApp. So I want to implore everyone to move to the Discord server. And thank you very much, everyone. I want to implore you all, please enjoy the session today. Thank you. I will be handing over to Ifeoluwa Omotoso. Ifeoluwa Omotoso, welcome. You have the floor now.
Okay, thank you, Aishat, for that beautiful introduction. Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? I know this is another week for the Teams administrative itself. I know Joseph Afeso has given us breakdown on the user side. So today I'll be talking more on the Teams administrative and management. Well, I'm supposed to share my presentation, but for this part of the session, I like to go a little bit practical, sharing the administrative environment so that we can follow through and understand. Also, let's put in mind that this is an introductory class. There is also the intermediate to Teams and the advanced to Teams, right? So might not be going too much technical. Not that we'll not be going technical, but we'll be trying to make it a relative scenario so that we will understand the basics, right, before we go into the advanced. I think when to the intermediate and advanced. So I don't know. I know we are muted, but can we, for those who are around last week, what do you understand by the word Teams? I don't know if you can make use of the chats to tell us what you understand by the word Microsoft Teams itself, right? So I don't know if we can make use of the chat for that so that I can understand or to have that view that you understand what you were taught last week. So let me just give like 1-2 minutes for the chat. Oh, Aisha, can you hear me, please? Hope I'm audible.
Yes, you're audible. Audible.
Okay. Okay, Teams is Microsoft Core collaborative and communication app. Thank you, Maiwa. Who else? A collaborative app. Yes. Who else? Sharifa, thank you for that. Okay. Are we still having someone? Okay, Microsoft Teams is a web service for collaboration, Teams meeting, and sharing files. Okay. Okay. Michael, John, Shegun, Lovina. Okay, thank you so much for that. I think from this, I can say that we were listening, right? Yes, I was not on the call last week, but I myself need to go through the recordings. So the classes are not only for you guys, even we the mentees, right? We still go ahead to watch the recording because it is a session where you learn, unlearn, and relearn, right? Because things evolve, changes, a lot of changes that happens in the environment. And thank you, guys. Thank you, Yadi, Wisdom, Dapo, for the contribution based on the question that I asked. So I really, really want to appreciate everybody for your time, right? Because even with the current condition of the country, some people don't have light and other things, but you're able to be consistent because you want to learn. So thank you so much for taking this opportunity. So it's not a thing of pride for we the mentors or for we the organizers, right? But we appreciate you. So I'm going to share my screen. Like you said, Microsoft Teams, it's a collaborative hub, right? And when you say Microsoft Teams is a collaborative hub, it means that it's not dependent only on itself, right? It makes use of Exchange to some parts where you're talking about calendar and charts. It makes use of SharePoint, OneDrive when you're talking about file storage. It takes use of Power Automate for your automated processes, for your alerts. It makes use of your app where you can also integrate your application into the environment. It makes use of almost all Microsoft 365 packages, right? Down to Planner, to whiteboard, even to your external devices. So I believe we've talked about the user interface um, and Joseph was able to take that part very well. I think the only thing when I was watching through the video is when it was trying to display the cores. Maybe some of us did not get the dial pad. This is how the dial pad looks like in Teams, right? So, and now one of the things I would like to say is what you get in Teams is dependent, or what you get in Microsoft is dependent on the licenses you have, right? I believe they're taking us through the license part and other things. So in Microsoft Teams, most of the things that you do is dependent on the licenses because it's a collaborative part. So you have to have a license that speaks to almost everything. Now we're going into the admin. For this environments, I'm making use of my own personal environment. I'm not making use of the test environment that is made available to us. And the reason why is that this will give you more real life environments and more business facing interface. The environment you have is an educational environment. It's for education, where it's for schools, for training and others, right? That's why, and it accommodates more. But for these ones, it comes with some costs. So apologies for that, but it's something that we can teach you how to set some up, but it's going to require your card details and other things if you are interested. But so for this environment, I'm making use of what they call Microsoft Teams Premium, right? Microsoft Teams Premium has its own Microsoft licenses. We have different licenses, but our course today is not to talk about licenses, right? It's to talk about the Teams administrative, administrative and management. That's the topic. Now, an admin is someone that supervise or that governs an environment based on set of policies, right? Right. So what are the things that makes Microsoft Teams itself a collaborative environment? Where do you have the control? Where do you govern, or where do you put compliance and alignment to your business in place? It's from the administrative part. And how do you go to the administrative part? You go, first thing is there's a direct URL to it. That's teams.microsoft, admin.teams.microsoft.com, which is the direct URL. But if you don't remember the URL, which is admin.teams.microsoft.com, you can come through the admin page where you go to admin.cloud.microsoft itself. This is the where you have all the admin accounts, right? SharePoint, Teams, and other thing. But what we're talking is, you click on Teams. Teams itself will take you to the admin.teams.microsoft.com. And when you get there, it's going to show you a dashboard. This dashboard is just an overall of what is happening in your environment per se, what you've done, your user activity. Now, for a user that you've created in your environment to be visible on this Microsoft Teams, you would have granted the user an administrator role. That means you'll have granted user is either the user is a Teams administrator or is a global administrator. A Teams administrator is who is in charge of your Microsoft Teams, while the global administrator is someone that is in charge of your whole environment, right? It does not mean that your MD or your CEO will be the one that will be in charge of your Teams or your M365 tenant. It might be the head of the department of your IT. It might be the head of collaboration in your department, depending on the name, right? It might be your CIO, it might be your CTO. Some people is even people, they have dedicated team that manages that. So those are the privilege that can grant you access to this page, right? And the first thing first I would like to show you on the admin page is the user interface. Now, if you notice on the normal admin page, you have where you have active users, meaning users who are licensed, you have created in your environment. And these users are dependent on your Active Directory. Maybe you are on cloud only, or you are on hybrid environment. Maybe you have an on-prem AD, right? So for a user to reflect on your Teams admin page, you will have assigned the Teams license to the user. And how do you verify that? Here you come to users. Under users, you come to manage users, right? Under manage user, you can see the users you've created in your environment, right? And this is where you can now single-handedly apply policy to what a user can do with Microsoft Teams, right? A user can do a lot of things, from the calls to the screen sharing down to creation of teams and channel, down to how they can make calls and other things. This is where you troubleshoot, and this is where you apply the policies. And in Microsoft Teams, there are a lot of policies. There are some that you can bundle together. There are some that you can make as an individual. Now, I'm still talking about the users, right? So here's the interface where you have your users, your accounts, and other things. Now I'm picking my own test account that I've created. That's Ifeoluwa. Now under this account, you see a lot of things. Here the tab from account to teams. Now these teams also talks about the teams Joseph showed you from the user interface. Okay, let me go back to the user interface. I've not created one. If you can recall, he told you that you have to come here, right? Is now they are different interface, right? Microsoft made them into the same place. If you want to create your teams, you can come here to teams and channel. I don't have anyone created. That's why it's blank, right? I can decide to create one for this test environment. So let me say M365 test, right? Here is where you can decide if you want it to be public or private team. Org-wide, I believe he told you about org-wide that you can only create. It has a limited number of org-wide that you can create in an environment. And this org-wide means that automatically everybody in your environment is added, right? And only a global admin can create org-wide, right? And because I'm using my global admin, that's why you can see this org-wide. If I switch to another account, you won't be able to see. But for this test, I'm not creating an org-wide. I'm going to create public, right? And to select a default channel. Let me just put test. But before I click on create, if you notice here, right, I don't have any team to this user account. The account that I'm using here for my test is the admin account. Like I said, it's not the Ife, but I'm going to create it so that you can see. So when I create, it's going to take some time. I'm now going to add the Ife to it. So it has been created. So this is add user. Let me pick Ifeoluwa. Let's see if it's going to come out. Now, so this is my account. I'm adding, here you can decide to make it owner or members, and there's this other part of it that you can make to add a guest. I mean, someone that is not within your organization. Now let me try and refresh my admin page for this. Let's see, it might take some time to propagate, right? But let's see if it's going to take effect immediately, right? It's still propagating. Maybe okay, now you can see, right? It shows that this account has been added to the M365 test that we've created, right? Now, as an admin, the user was made a member, but as an admin, you can decide to promote that user from here as an owner. Now, this gives you an overall view, an overall control of the user's accounts, right? So I can decide to make the person owner without me even logging into the Teams itself, right? To go and make, only two people now can make, that can make control of a team, right? The team creator, that the person that created the team or the channel, and the admin. So from here, let me make this account's owner. Say yes, would add the owner to this. It will take up to 10 minutes to see the changes. So we are going, maybe after 10 minutes, we are going to see the user from here and from the user interface, and check if the privilege or if the right has changed. Yes, I saw someone raise up an hand. Yeah. Is it a question or something? Uh, Okay. Let me try to zoom. So is it much better now? Okay, thank you. Okay, you're reason for the client, but you can drop your question so that I can also take that alongside, right? So I'll also be checking the chats. So because I don't want it to be a one-way communication. I know because of noise and others, that's why we are muted. But please, if you have any question, you can stop me at any point. Drop your question if need be, or if you want to wait till the end, we'll wait till then. So another thing that we can do is you can add a user to another team, but we've not created this is the only team that is being created in the environment, so we're going to leave that for now. So I'm talking about how you can control a user, how you can, as an admin, you can take charge of what happens to the user. Now there is a voice. Now this voice talks about how you can control call. If you remembered, Joseph made mention that there are two types of core. There's SIP, the SIP core, and the PSTN core. Now, as an admin, you have control on how the core is routed to the user. Now, let's say that a user is on leave, or yes, a user is on leave, and maybe there are some calls that are coming into the user's environment, and the user at that moment is not available. Let's say the person's on a medical leave, right? And the calls, maybe it's a contact center or it's the front line of the organization. They call the person and is affecting the business, and you can't log into the user's environment to make any changes because maybe because of the policy, the private information privacy policy of your organization. As an admin, how can you come in, right? From there, you can decide to forward the user call from the person to, let's say, someone taking over. Let's say the person he handed over to. You know, there are some customers that they are stick to, like, is this user that I want to speak to? If it is not this user because maybe of relationship or because that's the person's number that they have, you can decide to forward the call. All right. Now, this call is not, it might even be Teams call, normal Teams call, the SIP call, right? Can decide to forward the call from this user to another person. Say, yeah, it tells you under voice, right? Talks about the destination, any destination. That means any part of the country, right? Please dial out or calling. So here you can decide to create the rule. Here is ringing first device. That means my phone or my laptop, depending on where I sign into. And here you can decide to forward, be immediately forwarded. This immediately forwarded, you can decide to forward to another person, right? Can decide to forward to a number or anything. Now, the reason why this is because this user have not granted the user a license, right? So let me just do that. Apologies. I was trying to set up the environment before this meeting, so there's some things I was looking at. So let me how to assign license is just the normal basic one, right? You can decide to just come to licenses and okay, I have the licenses assigned already. So sorry. Let me just refresh for it to take effect. Okay, so it has been added. So for this user, let's say voice call wants forward the to voicemail is us trying to forward, but you can forward to another person as well. But now forward to voicemail means that you want to leave a voicemail, the user is not around, and the user is not around or is a public holiday in your organization. You can decide to set that voicemail. Let's say now that there's the Muslim break that we are observing, right? Maybe your company is not open for that moment, right? You can decide to set a greeting, right? And from that greeting, it goes to a voicemail when they call you, leave a tone, and you can have the recording. Now, the architecture where this voicemail itself is stored, right, is in your Exchange, right? That immediately someone dials my number and it's forwarded, right? You are going to get an email notification, and you are going to get a Teams notification on your Teams here. There's the activity that you have a voicemail, right? You can go through your email, you can listen to the voicemail as well, right? So this voicemail is just when you dial someone, oh, this user is not available, leave a voicemail. This is the where you do the configuration. But I don't want that for this account, right? I want it to ring. Now, when a user maybe you dial in a user is not available, you also have the feature to allow some things. It can simultaneously ring a user, another user, right? Or a phone number. I don't have a phone number configured yet, right? That's one of the reasons. And it can give a call delegate. I don't grant anybody delegate to this account. Like I said, it's just a new account. I've not really done much, right? So here also, you can decide that if you've set, now these are conditions that you set for calls. These are rules. Now, okay, if this user is not available, what happens after? The user should leave a voicemail so that you can listen to the voicemail and get the important information that the person wants to deliver to you, right? Maybe the person will just, oh, please call me back. But in this part of the country, Nigeria, I know most times when we dial on our normal call, MTN, Glo, when they tell you this user is not available, kindly leave a voicemail. Most of us, I be few of us, let me not use most, let me not generalize it. But I myself, I drop the call, right? To wait for the user's availability. But for some parts of the country, you will have to leave a voice note to the user, so a voicemail to the user, so that they can listen, have a summary of what, right? That voicemail can give how important, how urgent, or a tip of the information you are trying to communicate to the user, right? So that's one of the things. So here you can decide to, okay, send a voicemail after you've dialed the person. If the person is not available, it's still not picking. What after 20, like yeah, now after 20, we can decide that it should direct. Now, this is how long the call is going to be. Maybe 60 seconds means 1 minute, or 20 seconds. If the user did not pick within 20 seconds, it will redirect to voicemail, right? And you click on save. That's the policy around voice, right? Now, the voice is not only limited to SIP. You can also have your phone number itself and other things. But as an admin, this is where you can configure that. Now, as a user, let me go back to a user interface, right? As a user, you can decide to configure that as well for yourself. How do you configure your voicemail? You come by the right top of your account here, right? You come to settings. Under settings, you can see calls. Now, this is on the web, right? Let me go to the account I'm using currently on the client. On the client, you also come here, right? Come to these three dots here. On the three dots, you go to settings. That settings also give you an interface where you can configure that. Let me change this one from dark to light. So I believe this is much better, right? So here you can decide to check your calls. Under this call, you can decide to forward this as a user now. As an end user, you are an end user, that you are not an admin. You can forward your call to voicemail from here, right? You can turn it on or turn it off, right? You turn it on, you can record a greeting, like I said, custom greeting. I am currently not available. Kindly leave a voicemail. You can decide to do that here, right? You can change the language, right? The default language, depending on what you have, can change the language, right? Based on maybe the type of customers that you that engage your business, right? You can choose let the caller record a message, let the caller. These are the things that you can decide on your voicemail configuration, right? Now, the other time, if you scroll down, you see where you can also change your time from 20 seconds and others. Say manage out of office. This is when you're out of office email. When maybe on leave or something, all time, automated reply. These are things that you can set. So here down here, you can see ring many seconds before redirection. Where do you want to redirect it? This is the 60 seconds, the same thing that we have on the admin page, right? As an end user, you can have this, right? And also the admin can set it for you based on the company's policy, right? So the admin can set it while you don't go through the stress, and you yourself, you can set it from your own end, right? So that's for voice, right? Let me check the charts. Do I have any questions so far? So now, you say if an owner leaves the organization, does ownership automatically transfer? When a user leaves another organization, I've seen scenarios that this happens, right? Some it does not transfer, right? Some you have to come to the admin to change, but the members there can still have the interactive session. Now, this is what Teams does, right? Even when the user leaves the organization, now it depends on how you exit the user. Now, for some people, they just disable the accounts and unlicense the user. Now, when you unlicense the user presence is still there for some time, right? And when you go to the owner, it might just change to numbers. It won't auto assign, but the charts and everything there will still be intact, right? Because like we said, it's a team. The resource on it for your file share is a SharePoint, right? Your charts and meetings and other things is on Exchange, right? So all those resources is not user specific for teams and channel, right? So the owner is not auto transfer unless maybe you create an automation, right, that does that. I've not tried using an automation mechanism to change ownership, but as the admin can come to the admin page and change ownership of that channel or of that team, right? So the admin, just the same way we've done it here, that's just a scenario where I can move a user to a member and vice versa from here. So now I think let me go back to the what we practiced the other time, the changing of ownership that we did from the admin. So got it. So let's come here to how do you view on your team? How do you view the members? You come here, you click on manage team. Manage team. Now, who can click on view manage team? The owner of the environment and co-owners, right? So if you come to membership, yeah, you can see now that Ifeoluwa is now owner. Why this person, the admin that created the account is also here, right? Under members, you can see Ifeoluwa has moved away from members because before it was once members and now it's now owner. So that's that. So I'm going back to the admin page. The other things we are still going to talk about, mostly we are going to compare both the user interface and admin interface, right? So let me just go to the next one. So here we're talking about voicemail. So from voicemail here, you can, this is the almost same thing that we talked about. You can also turn on voicemail prompts, call forwarding mode. How do you want it to be done? Play and outgoing messages, service decline with no message. You can just drop pam 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 without any message. You can transfer. You can transfer to a user, select who the user is, let's say admin, right? and say for the admin account is going to load, so I can transfer to the other admin accounts. Default, you can set default greetings. Yeah, you can see the admin. I can click on the admin. Yeah, you can see I can anytime anybody calls, I've said transfer to user, right? So you can give default greetings. I am hello, Ifeoluwa is currently not available. Your call will be transferred to Aishat, right? So it depends on who can decide to, if he's out of office, maybe based on leave, or some people even set out of office, maybe vacation and other things. So depending on what it is, you can also set that one from here and play out of his greetings. This one is majorly the greeting, because we've already set the greeting here. So then you click on save. When you click on save, anybody that tries to call Ifeoluwa will be forwarded, and he is going to receive that voicemail over call. The voice that was set. So it's just going to read, like reading text. Yeah, it's just going to read the text to read it out to you the same way we set it, right? So that's what happens there, right? So the next one we are going to talk about, let me check, do I have any questions so far? Sorry, I'm trying to make it a little bit interactive, right? Okay, hello owner. The owner had shared some documents, so no one else would grant permission to others due to the owner leaving. So, well, for the question you asked, right, it's in the aspect of for file sharing, right? I know they are still going to cover it in SharePoint and OneDrive, which I believe is coming after, right? When the owner leaves, right, the admin can decide to change the owners of the team. Now, for file sharing, there is a SharePoint administrator. Now, depending on how the environment is configured, right? Members of the channel or of the teams is supposed to have a read manage privilege. But now you can decide to change the privilege they have on the files, right? So, but a SharePoint admin can go to the admin page and share the file with another person if is within the bank's policy, and those people will have access to the documents. Right? It will not be we can add another user and they'll have access to it. Like I said, is on SharePoint. SharePoint is a collaborative file environment, right? Where multiple users, more than 200 people can collaborate concurrently on a file, right? But the question you're asking, I believe that it will be answered better in your SharePoint class. I don't want to dive into the SharePoint class and leave what we have to discuss on this call, right? So that's why. So, but when the user leaves the organization, there is the opportunity for you to move the file, not even move the file, move the privilege of the owner to another user. You can even have multiple users having access to it. So for every team you create, just the same way we've created our M365 tests, for every team you create, there is a Microsoft SharePoint that is created alongside. Okay, let me show you. There is not only Microsoft SharePoint that is created, there is also group, M365 group that is created, right? So let me, while we're on this call, I know we are deviating a little bit, but let me just show you for understanding. So it's better we understand the ask than to rush through all things and not achieve anything. Let me try and refresh. Just give it a moment to load. So I don't know if we understand the question. The question is talking about you have a team. The owner, maybe you have only one owner. The owner leaves the organization. What happens to the file? How do you go ahead to access the file, right? Or let's say now the person leave before before his replacement in the organization comes in, and the files are crucial to the organization. The files can be shared back with the user, with another person to take over from their end from SharePoint side. I don't know what's happening to my network. Okay, I'm going to show you why this loads. Let me go back to the Teams admin center. Now we have meetings and calls. I'm waiting for this to load. I'm still going to show you. Apologies for that. So meetings and Teams. Now here, Joseph talked about meetings, calendars that a user creates in the organization. Now, here as an admin, you can see the logs of the meeting that each user joined. Now you can see from the organization side, let's say now, Aisha created a meeting and there's a report that everybody in the organization is to join the meeting. Now, there are some meetings, maybe meeting with the CIO or meeting with the MD that they want you to join. How do you get the reports for that meeting? As an IT administrator, as a Teams administrator in the organization, all you can do is come to the user manager who organized the meeting. You are going to see list of all the meetings. You can see the meeting ID. When you create a meeting, there's a meeting ID. There's a join time. When you join the time with the meeting, when you leave the meeting, how many users participated in the meeting, right? Activity time. Now, this join is not one time. Let's say in between the process, you joined this meeting now. If I'm the admin of this, our community, right, I'll be able to see how many people are on the call. How many, what time did you join? You know, sometimes you join a meeting, maybe you have network disruption. It will tell you that at so time you join. When you have network disruption and you left the call, it's going to tell you leave time. It's going to stay the time. If you join the meeting back, it's going to tell you you joined again. So the break that you have, it will not calculate it as total. It will give you the points that you join and the points that you leave. If you leave a meeting like 3-4 times, it's going to have that recording of the 3-4 times that you left. It's going to show you participants. I don't have much. I've not, like I said, this is a new environment. I would have loved to show you on other environment I've tested, but I've not done anything so far. So it's going to even show you the quality of your network. Now, for the reason for every Teams, there is what we call bandwidth. There's a specific bandwidth. Just the same way Joseph was explaining that there are the 3 medias: screen share, video, and voice. That there are priorities to it. Screen share is the least prioritized, because when you have a reduced bandwidth, your screen share will be the one that will be first distorted, right? The next one will be your video, if you are having a video maybe, and the last of it is the voice, right? So here is based on that bandwidth. If you are below the bandwidth, right, it's going to record here that it's going to show like red indication and tell you that the core, right? You have a poor network. It's going to give the statistics. And from here, you can now add more. You can see the ones that you can turn off, turn on. The reason, let's say you want to filter, this is just like the filtering, right? You can decide that I don't want to join and leave. When you click on apply, you see it reduce the interface, right? So those, and if you come down, it's going to show you past meetings and call. It's going to list everything, the duration of time you joined the meeting, activity type. Now, you can see here showing audio quality. Clients, the version of the clients you join with. Now, there are different version of Microsoft Teams client application, right? It's going to tell you this thing, the duration, the active type, video, audio, and other thing. So this is where it's going to give you the overview. And as an admin, right, you can filter based on what you want to see, right? So when you filter this you'll be able to also download it into an Excel format. It's because we don't have anything here. That's why it's showing is 0. Right? In the past 7 days, right, I don't have any activity. So it's going to give you the privilege for you to export it into a CSV file so you can present to management when they demand for such reports, right? So I think our group, I thought it was open. I don't know what's happening to my network. Academy.microsoft.com. I wanted to show us the group that was created because of that. So it's still loading. So next one there is apps, right? Majorly these are applications that the default application or the application you are making use of. Like Joseph said, the reason why I'm referencing what Joseph said is because everything he has showed you is the administrative part of it is where we are, right? So anything I have shown you from the user interface, here you are going to see the administrative part of it. Let me check. Do you have a question? Okay, no problem. Noted. So here is the application that's that the user have access to. Now, how do you when we talk about our application, right? When you come here, this is the app. You can add more apps, both your local developed app and other apps that Microsoft have approved on your environment, right? You can decide to even have Zoom, right? Zoom app. You can decide to have Zoom app in your Teams where you can log in and pick your Zoom calls in Teams. That's one of the sweet thing about Teams. It's bring yourself as you are into Teams, right? Even though there are more intermediate aspects to it, right? That gives you how to integrate your application to Teams and how it works with Azure itself and other things, but we are not going to cover it now. Here's your Zoom, right? When you click on add, right, you'll be able to integrate your Zoom application, sign into your Zoom, and receive your Zoom call, attend your Zoom call inside of Microsoft Teams. There are other applications like that, not only Zoom. There are some organizations that even make use of their Teams for user clock in, clock out. So when you log in, instead of you writing attendance using and another thing, the organization have an application that you have to clock in the application on Teams. Right? When you clock in the application on Teams, and when you are done for the day, let's say you close by 5, you clock out. And they get the report as an admin from the end that, okay, user, this user resume so time and closes so time. So I'm trying to add my Zoom application to it, right, so that you can see. So yeah, Zoom. So I'm trying to log in. I'm using the web version because now you can see it's telling me to sign into Zoom. I can sign into my Zoom and get receive my meeting, attend my meeting, and do what is needed inside of Teams, right inside of Teams, right? So that's one of the things. So list of the application, there are 1,001 applications that you can see. You can deploy poll, you can deploy planner, avatar, and other things, even YouTube, a lot of your application inside of Teams. But as an admin, now you can decide to create a policy that manages which application based on the business best practice, on which application you want to permit in your organization. Now, the reason why I'm saying that there are some applications that will come into your organization that will slow down your network activity, that will slow down your that some might even some developers can even take advantage of that, right? Let's say some hackers and others, or bad actors, right? They can take advantage of that, even though Microsoft itself has a way that it filters all the application that comes in outside of your own local application, right? But bad actor, maybe someone in the organization, right, just is a, let me just use the word developer, right, and it just develops software and just deploy it, and maybe there's no policy that governs or that controls that is deployed to everybody in the bank, and maybe one day someone is just playing around and went to go and click on it, is going to achieve the aim of the bad actor, right? And it's going to impact the business. So instead of that, as a Teams administrator, you can decide to create a policy, right, that governs the application that users have access to. But if not even come down to policy, I'm just still telling you what you can do as a user or as an admin on a user level, or what you can see on a user level side. We are going to come to policies. When we get to policy, I'm going to show you all the policies that Microsoft Teams has that governs collaboration in Microsoft Teams between users, in your meetings, in even in applications and other things. But here you can see the list of the application that this user have access to, and you can see here roughly now is 2,937 apps that this user can work with. As an admin, you can decide to take ownership of the application. Now you can see here is system. Now there are different categories. The here that you are seeing a system now means that it comes with the application, is in the system. Now, if it's the one that is developed internally by your team, there will be another different description for it. But here you can even see which application, what is support. Is working on the Outlook, Teams, and working on the admin itself. These are things that I support for communication. These are things that I leverage on, right? So you can see Copilot is also included. These are the what that application speak to at the moment, right? So these are the list of the application that Ifeoluwa has access to and can add on his own end. So let's move on. We'll come back to this one, right? This is how to add or remove app from users as an admin. You can decide to remove the app. That's part of the governance. But I think when we talk about policy, when it comes to app, I'll switch back here. Now, Teams device, right? Team devices, which account are you logged into? You can monitor which are the devices you are signing to. Let's say this. Now, under devices, there are different categories of Microsoft Teams devices. Now, there is the normal clients and web on. There's another one that is for teleconferencing. There are devices that are like Polycom, like just like conferencing application that they are all built in one, right? That you can sign into as a user and you can join your meeting, you can join your webinar, you can join your town hall, you can join your normal meeting and other things. Even that which you can use for interviews, let's say, or boardroom, right? Where the board are in and everybody is just interacting with you. This is where you see the list of the device that the user has authenticated with. And there you can see display name, username, device type. What type of device is it? The health status. Maybe there's an issue to the device. It needs health status, talks about maybe it needs an upgrade. The device is online, the device is offline, is critical, and other things, right? So you can get the manufacturer number for those who are doing audits. Maybe they want to know the devices in your organization and get the manufacturer's number. So we are here now in the part that is called policy. Policy is what I will say it's control. Control to how, when a resource, or let me use the word resource now, is managed. Now, this policy is where you can control, you can put a governance, right? Maybe based on risk analytics, or based on compliance, or based on security measures, right? How you can control Microsoft Teams. So in Teams, there are up to 24 policies that you can set, right? There are 24 policies that you can set. The policies runs from app to call to meetings and others. So here are the lists, right? This is just from the user interface where you can see the list, but I'm still going to show you from here. Let me click on show all. Let's say under meetings, you can see meeting policy. Under Teams app, you can see permission policy, setup policy, live event policy, and others, right? So all of them in total in Teams, right? There are 24 policies, right? And the default policy that is set is what is called global org-wide default. This global org-wide default is set by Microsoft. These are just like default policies. Now, you can set policy based on maybe for one person, and you can apply it to multiple users. But you cannot assign two app setup policy to one account. You can only assign one policy of an let's say this app setup. Now you can only apply maybe global policy or your custom policy. You cannot assign two to this one. It will not even take it because it will override each other, right? So let's say for app setup, now we talked about app the other time. So let's click on the default. Let's see the global, which is the default. Let's see what is there. So for the default, you can see all the applications, add apps. These are the applications that are pinned. When we say pinned now, these are the ones that are pinned on your environment here, right? So here are the applications that are pinned. You can decide to remove it, move it down, right? Based on your own arrangements. So these are the default ones. You can add more apps to it. Let's say there's an app in your organization that you develop. you can decide to add the app to be part of the pinned application. That's what that one is just doing. It's just the policy behind which application should be like a favorite to your organization, right? So this is where you create the this is the global policy that we are talking about. But now you can decide to now create your own custom policy for this, right? So here is upload app. We are not doing custom app. Now let me show you how to where you can get this policy, this setup policy. Right. So when you click on setup policy under Teams app, we are talking about Teams app, you can add your own policy. That means you can create your own custom policy that is different. Let's say for your MD, right, managing director, he demands that some specific app should be part of its own pinned app, and you don't want it to be applied to everybody in the organization. You can come here and just say add. When you click on add, you set a name. Let's say MD pinned app. Now, it's better for you to put, I always tell people, like, put a name that explains what you want to achieve, so that in case you leave the organization, another person in the organization can pick it up. Now, you can put a description. This will be, okay, let me just say, the MD requested for his favorite apps to be pinned on Teams. So here you can now decide which app you want. You can decide to remove Zoom. If you removed it, you can now say that let's say Jira Cloud, right? The MD wants that. But I just citing an example. Does not want OneDrive to be visible. You can decide, okay, because Jira is the most favorite for him, let's move it up. Right? Activity is not a fan of activity. Let's move it down. Can save. Right? Now, when you save this policy is just created. It has not been applied. You can see MD pin app. This is its custom policy. Yes. Now, how do you now apply this policy to the user? You click on the policy, right? Click on manage user, assign user. You can assign it to a particular user. Now, if you notice when I click on manage user, it says bulk unassign. You can unassign from bulk users, right? You can make this, let's say you want to create another one, but you want for another set of people, let's say your HR, and you want to use this as template, you can duplicate it. When you duplicate it, you can now change the name, right? Let's say, yeah, because let me go back, let me show you something. You cannot use the same name twice for a policy. That's a policy with this name already exists. Now you can now say HR pinned app, right? So this is you now making, and for every policy, right, that you created, you can decide to edit it. Let's say MD's taste has changed. You can click on edit. When you click on edit, you can control what is here, right? And change it accordingly. And everything, when you apply the policy, right, it takes within 1 to 24 hours. I think some people will tell you 48 hours just to be on the safer side for it to be applied. But for you to hasten the whole process, right? Let's say you've moved to an intermediate, or you've moved to an advanced person that you are using PowerShell. PowerShell is a command, is a control that you use instead of using GUI, graphical user interface, that you are using now. You can use command lines. That one is faster compared to, but Microsoft has improved to some extent now that even when you apply it within 1 to 2 hours, it has propagated. But to create buffer before you can even escalate to an engineer or something, they tell you to have to take up to 48 hours for it to propagate. That's just creating more buffer. It does not mean that it's after is that 24 hours that it will reflect just to create the buffer, right? So that's how to create a Teams app policy, right? But like I said, there are other policies. Let me go back to the user that we're using. So policies. Now we have app setup policy. We've displayed that, even though I've not applied to the user. So another thing, instead of, you can also apply to a user, a policy to a user from here as an admin. You can select the policy itself, right? Sorry, let me go back to the user. Show you policies, select user, edits. So now, this is it, right? You select the policy. This is app setup policy. You click on edit. When you click on edit, you can see the policy you've created. The other one, the HR we just created, and the MD zone. And select the MD zone, apply. Right? You change this, might take some time to take effect. Once changes are applied, you will be able to roll back the changes immediately. So I confirm. Those are just like warning that you have to wait. And here you can see it has override the global org-wide default, right? So the next one is audio conferencing. This audio conferencing talks about when you set up a meeting. Now, audio conferencing means that a user can join a meeting if you have the audio conferencing set up. Now, audio conferencing means that I can dial into a call from my phone by typing number. Okay, let me go back to our user, right? I want to let me go to calendar so I can show you how the audio conferencing itself works, right? It's how you dial into your meetings. I can decide to dial. I know we talked about calendar, so I won't go through. You talked about Meet Now and New. So let me click on New Calendar. Let me click on M365 Mentorship test, right? We talked about you can decide to invite user or not. We talked about the free busy, right? So it's the Microsoft Teams. I'm going to select Microsoft Teams. So let me just create, right? Let me just create. So here is the meeting that I've created for Monday, right? For this account. So let me go and so this is what I want to show us. I'm not taking us through meeting. Now you can see the link. It says you can share the link. Now there is a meeting ID and a passcode, right? But where I'm coming from is this conferencing part. Yes, phone conference. Now I can dial this number, right? And join this meeting. Now if I dial this number, let me try and change my view to light mode. Trying to change to light mode so that it can be visible. I know someone commented on that the other time. Let me zoom. Okay, I believe this is better now. So yeah, you say dial in by phone audio conferencing. You dial this number. When you dial in this number, it will ask for the meeting ID or the phone conference ID. This is the phone conference ID, which is the same thing as this one. And you press your pound key. It will automatically add you into the meeting. Now, this number that you are dialing in, it will take the cost of international call in your country. Now, Microsoft now go an advanced level, right? I know I'm coming into things, but I need to explain this so that I will explain the audio conferencing policy. Microsoft now go into an advanced level that you have what we call meeting option, right? This meeting option, when you click on it, it will give you list of countries close to you that you can dial the number and provide the same meeting ID, right? And you will be charged less. This one is US dollars. Dollars might be more, right? When you sorry. Sorry, what I was explaining is find a location number. Apologies. They've changed it. So this is what I'm looking for. Now you can see list of countries that when you dial the number, right, it will ask for the phone conference ID. It will ask for this phone conference ID. And you enter this side and you will join the meeting from your phone as if you are calling. So these are the buffer lists that Microsoft per each location. Now, this aside, I said find a location number. Please, let's correct that. Is find a location number that I was trying to talk about. So let's come back to the audio conferencing ID. I made mention of something. I said that when you call, it's going to charge you based on your country's tariff. Now, there's another part to it that is called toll phone number. The toll phone number means that there's toll number that you be charged. There's what we call toll-free number. Toll-free number, I think when we get to phone number and other things, there's an option where you can add phone number. Hopefully by tomorrow, I will take us through that, or maybe in another session. The toll-free number is you can include toll-free number meeting, created user for this one. Now, this toll-free number means that the company will take the costs on your behalf. The company will take the cost on your behalf. There's another license that they'll be charging the company like a credit card, right? That they will need to get to add that feature to their environment. But because of this part of the country, what we use more on that side is more of toll number. Maybe do we even use toll number? Maybe we even make use of the feature, but Microsoft added it. It's also in other applications, right? Let's say I think Zoom has something like that as well that you can dial in. So you can make use of this. I think that's that on audio conferencing policy. I spend more time. So we are still on policy. So the next one is call hold policy. Now, what is call hold? Call hold is just the same way it sounds, right? Hold a call. I put you on a hold. I can call you on Teams and put you on hold. The same way tell you, this is that is on hold. Kindly hold on. Now, this call hold policy, right? It's where it gives you the ability to upload when a user is on hold. what do they want to be listening to? And let's say now you call the front end, the front desk of an organization. You want to speak to, let's say, your colleague or your let me not use the word colleague. You are a client, right? You call the company, you want to speak to their marketing department. When you call the front desk will tell you that kindly hold on, let me transfer the call. Now, it's either you are hearing dun dun, the normal sound, or you hear the advert, or you hear a song. Just like when we call, for some of us that have called customer service of maybe Airtel, MTN, Glo, and others. You notice that they put you on hold, it will be singing some adverts into our ears. It will tell you MTN, everywhere you go, all those things is going to give. This is where you can configure it as a team administrator. So now, what version is acceptable? MP3, WAV, WMA. These are the file formats that is supported, and the size must not be more than 5 MB. So this is where you upload the file. So anytime any user plays a user on hold, right, they are able to listen to that. But because you know this one is default, there is no uploaded file. What is it called? The business will just make use of the default same sound when a user is on hold. But now this is another twist to it. You can still create your own custom policy. Now, maybe based on the department that the person calls in, maybe let's say IT have their own adverts. HR have their own adverts, marketing have their own adverts. I'm just citing that example because there are scenarios where a company might have multiple or different adverts. Maybe let's even look at it from this angle of the advert is region based. Let's say for Nigeria is different from UK, is different from South Africa, is different from the Asians and others, right? You can decide to now create policy based this what's it called? Call hold policy based on the country, and you can apply the policy to each country based on their specifics. That's how you can now create. I'm just giving an example of a scenario where you can create such policy, right? So that's where you can create call hold. There's another thing that is called call pack. Now, the call hold is just for you to hold and transfer. Call pack is in a situation where they are making consultation on your behalf, right? Let's say they are trying to confirm if maybe a contact center like this, right? I'm trying to picture a scenario, but it's a situation where you can, like, you are parking a car, you put it there for consultation, and they can now say, okay, let me confirm if this user is around. They park it and they now transfer the call to another person, right? Call hold, I hold the call, I resume back, right? Call pack, the call is transferred. You can look at park timeouts. So if they park you for a particular time, right, the call will drop, right? These are the ranges. These are custom policy, but most times we don't make use of this, right? And there are less issues around this type of policies, right? Because few people are the one making use of it. We are still going to the stage where we are now going to get to the major policies that we make use. Call ID policy is the ID in the for the user, right? Maybe you want to block a user ID and other things. You want to override calling party name and other things, right? This is where you can identify this thing, just like the way Truecaller works, right? This is where you set the call ID policies, right? There's now calling policies, right? So this calling policy talks about how you make calls. These are one of the major policies that we'll be talking about, right? Because this calling policy talks about integration, your calls to your recordings, your meetings and other things, right? So this policy, in a situation, let's say that you don't want someone in your organization to make private calls, right? Maybe you don't want him to call external people and other things. These are the policy that you set. Yeah. Yes, then make private calls. You don't want it. There are documentation by Microsoft that gives more insight on it when you are going through this interface, right? Now, cloud recording for callings. You can decide that you don't want the person to be able to do recording. You disable recording. Here you can we create a custom policy, or you want to disable it tenant-wide. You want to disable across everybody in your organization based on whatever your company wants, right? Here is that when you call, when you start recording, that will show you that prompt. Your recording has started. You can decide to turn it on or turn it off, that you don't want that information. This information is to make the participant agrees. Now, there are some countries that, based on their information security or information technology laws, you must consent to record. I must ask you that I'll be recording this. You have to be informed. So, because in a situation where you are not informed, the person will just decide that they did not tell me, they have moved the recording and they've used it for their own private gain, to avoid lawsuit and that. So these are the integration that is. They can decide to turn it on for your organization based on the law of the land and your organizational law. Transcription. I know you talked about transcription, that if you create a team meeting, you can enable transcription. Transcription is just like subtitle, right? You can decide to turn it on or turn it off for your organization, right? This is where you control where if transcription will be enabled, right? Now, we talked about PSTN, right? When you are calling using your trunk, I don't want to use much grammar there, right? But this is more advanced to some level, right? When you are trying to connect your trunk, your cabling trunk, to your session border controller to receive call in Teams. Apologies. This is the introductory class, right? So I'm not going into that. So I don't think we have time to even explain how direct routing and other things works, but we're not going through that. But what I want you to understand is that any call that require that you are importing your lines, let's say MTN trunk or Airtel trunk. In Nigeria, that's one of the things that most of our contact center use. For those that want to integrate with Teams, this is where you can set if it's default setting, user unanswered settings, send to voicemail and others, right? Routing to federated calls. This federated calls talks about third party, right? Third party, the application that's let's say from Teams to your M365, depending on the application, right, that you are using to receive your call based on the configuration. This is where you can also set the settings when a user calls in. Maybe you want to send to voice note, or the unanswered user, you want it to drop immediately and other things. So this is where you set up that. These ones are more advanced, so that's why I'm not saying much on it, right? But I think hopefully we'll have a time to have the discussion. But the limitation to this is that there are little or no practical environments for all these ones, because it comes with high cost, right, to implement that. Now, simultaneous calls. Now, call forwarding and simultaneous ringing for people. So this is when you have multiple calls, right, and you want forwarding. This is where you can enable call forwarding and disable it, right? Simultaneous call is that multiple users, you can be on Teams call and that person is calling you, and it's ringing, you can receive. So here you can decide to turn it off. There is only one person at the time that will call, right? These also affect to forwarding, if you want the calls to be forwarded or not. So they are together. Call forwarding and simultaneous ringing to external phone numbers. Now you can decide to forward a call from your Teams to your mobile number, right? You can decide to forward a call from your Teams to your mobile number, to your +234 and others, depending on the load. So here is where you can decide to turn it on or turn it off. Let's say after 20 seconds ring, if the user is not available, forward the call to the mobile number. So this is where you can enable it. Voicemail for inbound calls. Inbound calls, we have two types of calls, right? We have inbound and outbound. Inbound is one coming in into your organization, while outbound is one that you are calling out, right? So voicemail, you can decide here that you want, say let user decide. That means user will be the one to decide if they want voicemail or not. You can decide as an admin based on the laws of the land in your organization that it should be on, and you can decide to turn it off. But here, let the user decide. That means you have to go to the admin page where we went to the other time and enable voicemail. Inbound call could be routed to call group. Now, call group is in a situation, I think there is on what we call call queue and attendant, right? We are not talking about that. That's intermediate, right, under MS 701 certification, right? I know Joseph talked about the certification that we have, two type of certification, MS 700 and MS 701, right? Those are the Teams certification. The first MS 700 is Teams admin, while 701 talks about calls, right? I think maybe they've revamped it or something, but I've done MS 700, but I've not done 701. But I'm planning on getting that as soon as possible. So here, this is where you talked about call routed to groups. Now you can route a call, forward the call to group, right? Instead of calling an individual, and there you can decide to set if it is first in, first out, round robin, and others, right? Here we have delegate for inbound and outbound calls, right? You can decide to do a delegation. That means someone can pick calls on your behalf, right? This is where you set it. Now, prevent toll bypass and send calls through the PSTN. That's if you have PSTN in your environment. This is toll, and like I said, toll and toll free. That's on PSTN level. We are not covering that, so let's just leave that. Now we talked about music on hold. Remember that we talked about call hold, where you can set the recording, right? This is what is governing that call hold to be available in your organization as an admin. Busy during this during calls. This is where when someone calls and that person, we talked about simultaneous calls, right? Yeah, you can decide that set to busy when someone calls you. User unanswered setting, so it will direct to voicemail and other things. Web PSTN calling, we are not covering that. Real-time capture in Teams. Now, talked about caption, right? You can decide to do captioning in your meetings. Here is what allows it. If you disable it and I'll send the policy to the user will not have that. It will be disabled, it will be graded out on their environment. Real-time text, right? This is where your RTT, your text, the one that you make use under. Remember, we are under calling policy. You know, when you are calling, you can also chat someone. So here is what governs that, right? Automatically answer incoming meeting invites. This one is turned off. This, if any meeting comes in, they just add it to meeting. It automatically make you to join the meeting when they start the meeting. This is what this one does, but it's advisable you turn it off, but it depends on the law of the land. Like I said, I'm talking about the law of the land. That's what your organization works with. Spam filtering. You can set spam filtering, right? When someone calls you, if it's a phishing or something, I think there's a time that I have that some spam accounts calls, and immediately all this spam filtering happen. When they call, it drops the call immediately. You might not even say. All you just come is to come to activity here. Just that there's someone that tried to call you, but did not ring to your own side, on your own side. SIP device, this is you integrating SIP device, right? That's external collaboration. With Copilot, we're not talking about Copilot. I said Copilot. We're not talking about PSTN for now. Apologies. So Copilots, yeah, now Copilots come with his own license and other things. That's if when you are calling, right? If Copilot to be enabled or not. Copilot will transcript. Now, when you are on call, there is this, when you come to all these bar up here, this one here, I don't know if you can see it, can see people. For some organization, you will see Copilot, you will see, okay, let me that interface. Okay, because I'm sharing screen. But for some organization, you see Copilot, you see transcription, you see other things there. You can decide that you don't want Copilot. Some organization, they are not still in agreement with AI as we speak. Why some organizations are making use of it. Some will tell them that information security, they are not safe and other things, right? So this PSTN limit of usage, this integration to iPhone device calling logs, right? So now this part majorly talks about when you want to troubleshoot Teams on iPhone, right? There are some logs that Microsoft requests for. If you enable this one, you'll be able to fetch the log from your iPhone, because on iPhone, you might not be able to download the logs for troubleshooting sake. But this is where from the admin end, when you enable it, you will now be able to download the log, but you need to enable it first. So before I end, I know our time is a bit we spent a lot of time, over an hour. That's an hour 36 minutes, and we need to take questions and other things. So for today, I'm going to answer on calling policy. But before I go, I was talking about the admin group the other time based on the question asked. So here is the teams that were created. Here is the M365 group that was created for it. Because we set it to be public, that's why it's showing public. If you create private, it's going to show private, right? The same thing happens if you go to SharePoint Admin Center. Show all. You go to SharePoint Admin Center, we are going to see an M365 test SharePoint. So any file you upload on that channel is uploaded into the SharePoint page for you to have access to from the back end. Now, here's the SharePoint Admin Center, right? And active sites, you can see it here. So I can decide to grant access to that user from here. So the floor is open for questions. Aisha, I don't know if you are there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm here. Thank you for that very insightful and explanatory session. Yes, so we'll be moving into the Q&A. Guys, please, before we do that, let's give a round of applause to our speaker, Ifeoluwa Omotoso, for that wonderful session and for taking his time to break down all of these concepts for us. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you could just raise your hand just use the reaction, the hand raising reaction there to show that you have a question. Then I will unblock your mic so that you can go ahead with your question. I already have someone here. Shegun Phillips is here. Thank you very much, guys, for the applause. I'm going to allow mic for Shegun Phillips, and then you can unmute and ask your question. Shegun Phillips, I don't know if you're there.
All right. Yes. I don't know if you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Ifeoluwa Omotoso. I mean, I'm seeing a different side to Teams. Like, but yeah, although from the day one, but I think this third session is really like a whole lot. But then I have a question on the fact that under the meeting and calls on admin on user management, you can see you can check the logs, of course, when you joined the meeting and when you left and all. But then there's this thing that people in my organization feel it has been done intentionally, because we have a situation whereby when you see a user, when you see the status as red, which means like the person is on a call, and you, I mean, at that point you don't bother to call that person until you wait, until the button turns green and all. So somehow some users feel like, oh,
Oh, Shagun, are you still there? We can't hear you anymore. We can no longer hear you. I don't know if you're still speaking, but we can no longer hear you, or I can no longer hear you.
I can't hear him either. So I even thought it was my network.
Shagun Phillips, are you still there?
Maybe
Your
his
mic is
network.
on, but we can't hear you. Yeah, I think so.
Well, he has not asked this question, so I don't want to assume, but I think
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand where he's going based on that question. For your availability on Teams, there's a part where you can decide as a user to change it for yourself. Right, when you come here now, it's showing screen share, right? It's showing I'm presenting. I can decide to make it busy, do not disturb. When it's on do not disturb, even if you try to call it, will not come in. So these are specific to users, and currently I don't think there's any place that Microsoft can make an admin to change it for the